Alright, so today we're going to be talking about photosynthesis, or at least the first half of photosynthesis, sorry. But before we do, we're going to talk a little bit about some of our terms. Okay, so first we have our photon, and that's just going to be the light energy that's coming from the sun, and at this level, light really is behaving more as a particle than a wave. So a photon is just a light particle from the sun. It's carrying energy. When that energy hits the chloroplast, it's going to excite some electrons. That just means it's transferring the energy to the electron. Now the electron has a lot of energy, has to go somewhere and do something with it. Okay, so then we have our light-dependent reaction. That's the first half of photosynthesis, where it's using that energy from the photon. And that is basically just how plants transfer the water, carbon dioxide, and light into oxygen and energy. We also have the light-independent reactions, which we'll talk about next time. That's the Calvin cycle. And that's how plants turn energy from the light-dependent reactions into sugar. So at the end of this lesson, we're just going to be getting to the energy state, and then for the next lesson, we'll talk about how we get from there to the actual sugar. Now the middle point is going to be this ATP molecule, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. And that is basically just a way to transport chemical energy around the cell. So the light-dependent reaction is going to produce ATP, and then the light-independent reaction, or the Calvin cycle, is going to use that ATP to create sugars that the plants can use. Sugars are carbohydrates. All right, so basically, for photosynthesis, we have a plant, and it's going to take up water. In a vascular plant, it's going to take up water from the roots. It's going to go up the tube-like structures of the plant. It's going to grab carbon dioxide from the air. It's going to bring that into the plant leaf, where those chloroplasts live. And then the photons are going to come in, and then through the light-dependent reaction, they're going to combine the water, the carbon dioxide, and the photons, and then we're going to give off oxygen into the air, and then we're going to be left with sugar that's going to be stored somewhere in the plant. Alright, so over here we've got just this chemical equation for photosynthesis. So when a plant goes through photosynthesis, we have to make sure, there are enough molecules of everything. So since we're going from carbon dioxide and water, which are fairly simple molecules, each just with 3 atoms, CO2, 1 carbon, 2 oxygens, H2O, 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen, to this complex molecule of sugar, which this is a glucose molecule, C6H12O6, we're going to need to be focusing on how to get a lot of this hydrogen, because we need 12 molecules of hydrogen. 12 atoms of hydrogen to get this glucose molecule. In order to get 12, we're going to need 6 molecules of water. And then to get our 6 carbons, we're going to need 6 molecules of carbon dioxide. All right. So we've got our 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, our 6 molecules of water. That gives us 6 molecules of 6 atoms of carbon, 12 atoms of hydrogen, and now we've got 12 and 6 more, 18 atoms of oxygen. So 6 of them are going to end up here, and then 12 of them are going to be given off as byproducts. So we've got these 6 diatomic oxygen molecules that are going to be given off into the atmosphere. So here again, we've got 6 carbon molecules that go right into the sugar, or 6 carbon atoms, that go right into the sugar, 12 oxygen molecules, so oxygen atoms, 12 hydrogen atoms, and 6 oxygen atoms. And then through the light, we're going to rearrange that to 6 carbon atoms, 12 hydrogen atoms, 6 oxygen atoms, and then those other 12 oxygen atoms are going to become 6 diatomic oxygen molecules. All right, so now how this happens. Okay, we've got these 2 diagrams over here. This one kind of just goes through this light reaction, or the light dependent reaction, and then we've got the Calvin cycle, or the dark reaction, or the light independent reaction that we'll talk about next time. Basically what's happening is over here we've got our thylakoid membrane. We've got things happening on the inside, which is this yellow, or the air inside, I'm sorry, is down here. And we've got the outside over here, and then we've got the layers in this yellow area. Okay. And these different layers, basically the point of them is just kind of to keep concentrations separate, because normally when you have different concentrations of things, when you have different concentrations of, you know, the number of oxygen molecule, the number of oxygen atoms, or the number of electrons, or something like that, they want to go to a place of equilibrium. They want all of the energy to be equal and balanced. But these membranes in the thylakoid membranes, are really good at separating the balance and keeping things separated when they need to be separated. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're going to have a photon come in that's going to excite an electron, give it some energy. The electron is going to pop off. Now this area over here needs another electron, so it is going to actually break apart an oxygen molecule, separating the hydrogens from the oxygen. Okay, and so now these hydrogens are inside the thylakoid membrane. They're going to go over, some enzymes are going to act on them, and they're going to turn into ATP. Okay, this electron is going around, and it is going to, you know, it's split up the oxygen, or I'm sorry, it's split up the water, it's moving around, it's going all over the place. There's going to be another photon that's going to come in. This oxygen is going to, or I'm sorry, this electron is going to come up. It's going to join with some other hydrogen atoms over here. There's two over here. The electron is going to join one of them, changing our NADP into NADPH. And then those, the NADPH and the ATP are going to combine later in our Calvin cycle to form sugar. Okay, so then we've got these oxygens, and they're going to go away into the atmosphere. Okay, so basically we just have photons bringing energy into the thylakoid, electrons popping off, moving all around, splitting up water, and then turning that water. When you split up water, you get those hydrogens. Hydrogen atoms by themselves are just a proton because they're missing that electron. And so basically that's just energy. And that's going to turn into ATP, which we'll talk about next time.